Today we have a lot of things to
Yes,
discuss.
of course. Today is a Friday, another Friday of mass demonstrations. Opposition groups all over the country have been calling for another mass demonstration this Friday. Protests in Tahrir Square, and also expected protests in front of the Tahrir Presidential Palace, as well as in other cities all over the country. So we're going to be following what's going on in terms of the protests that are meant to be held today, and we'll be updating you on what's going on in terms of those protests. And of course, nothing is predicted anymore, so we'll just have to be keeping track of what's going on around the country, and we'll see what goes on later today. Hopefully these protests don't turn to anything violent as they did a few weeks ago.
Just as you mentioned, nothing can be predicted here in Egypt. And when it comes to the revolution, it has impacts on many different domains, many different sectors. Well, one of these sectors is tourism, and tourism, of course, is one of the most important sectors to be discussed these days, especially after the recent incidents that took place in Egypt. So today we are going to shed light more on the tourism sector. Where is it now and how it can recover, because really we need it to recover very quickly.
Yeah, of course. And also there's another issue that's been, another phenomenon that we have here in Egypt for many, many years, and it has worsened in the past few years, and that is the slum areas here in Egypt. So we are going to be talking about this crisis that faces this country. Of course, this marks there is a very big population of Egyptians who live under the poverty line in mass slum areas. So we are going to be discussing ways of developing these areas and how we can solve this crisis, because of course we want to move this country forward. But first, we're going to take a quick look at the beautiful weather for this day and
this day in history.
We'll be right back.
On the 8th of February 1952, a new queen was proclaimed for UK. Princess Elizabeth formally proclaimed herself Queen and head of the Commonwealth and defender of the faith. Lords of the Council, numbering 150 representatives from the Commonwealth officials from London, including the Lord Mayor and other dignitaries, witnessed the accession of the deceased king's eldest daughter. Queen Elizabeth II read, "By the sudden death of my dear father, I am called to assume the duties and responsibilities of sovereignty." Her husband, Prince Philip of Greece, the Duke of Edinburgh, was also present at the 20-minute meeting at St. James Palace. The couple returned to the UK after cutting short a tour of the Commonwealth beginning in Kenya a week before because of the king's death. King George's funeral was held on the 15th of February 1952. Queen Elizabeth II's coronation was held in Westminster Abbey on the 2nd of June 1953. In 2002, the Queen enjoyed a year of celebrations and special visits to commemorate 50 years on the British throne. On the 8th of February 2002, opening ceremony of Salt Lake City Winter Olympic Games took place. The 19th Winter Olympics officially opened in Salt Lake City. Former President George W. Bush declared the Games open at an emotionally charged ceremony which was a mixture of poignant and patriotic. President Bush, who was given a rapturous welcome, walked out at the start of the ceremony. 8 U.S. athletes followed him into the Rice Athletes Olympic Stadium with the tattered American flag that had been covered from the rubble of New York's World Trade Center. The 52,000 crowd marked an impeccable minutes of silence in memory of those who died in the terrorist attacks of the 11th of September. The 2-hour extravaganza concluded with the lighting of the Olympic flame.
Welcome back. And right now let's move on to one of the Egyptian destinations here in Egypt. Usually we talk about tourism in Egypt, how beautiful the destinations here and how many different entertainment and facilities it can offer to its holiday makers. Today Karim Gamaluddin will take us to one of these destinations, tell us more about how one can enjoy himself in this destination.
And right after that, we'll be following our reporter Ashley Gindi with some exercise tips for this morning on how to keep a healthy lifestyle and a healthy, fit body. We'll be right back with more on The Breakfast Show, so please stay tuned.